Good morning, my friends. This is Walter. We're out here on the porch today. I think I'll share a story with you today. This will be chapter 1, part 1. The story I wrote some 10 years ago when I was coming home from the Navy, looking forward to getting a job, and I wound up getting a job with what was then the Southern Railway. I plan to tell this story in more than one part. If you wish to follow my story, consider subscribing to Pwalpar on YouTube. It'd be most appreciated. Coming Home by Walter Parks. Chapter 1, The Boy on the Bus. This story begins in late September of 1969 with me sitting on a Trailways bus. If you have ever traveled across a sizable portion of this country on a bus, you know about how I was feeling at the time. Believe me, if I had a car with me, I sure wouldn't have been on that bus. You travel from town to town along the route you're taking, stop at every bus station along the way. It makes the trip so much longer and only increases your desire to get there faster. But it does no good because it won't speed up the trip. You see people come and go, and if you're lucky, a few of them may actually speak to you, but usually they just sit and stare at each other. I was getting cramps from having sat so long. I was sitting there wishing I had taken an airplane instead of a bus, just to save a few dollars. Here I sat with over $500 in my wallet. I could have taken a plane, I thought. Then I reflected on why I had made that decision. I had to try to save some money to get by with, until I again had some money coming in. I had no idea what the future had in store for me, so being frugal was the order of the day. At the next stop, a woman got on the bus with several children in tow. "Do you mind if Tommy sits with you?" she asked. "No, ma'am, I don't mind," I said, while I thought to myself, surely he will speak to me. I won't have to sit and listen to some old wino snore like I had earlier in the day. Speak really wasn't the word for it because Tommy had 1,000 questions. He asked them all for the next couple hours. I sat patiently answering his questions. Questions like, "Why are you wearing that funny hat?" "Well, it's called a white hat and it's part of my uniform." "Why is your suit all blue and got them funny little white stripes on the collar and around the wrist?" "These are my dress blues. All us sailors have to wear uniforms." "Why is there a bird on your arm?" "Oh, that's an eagle, but we call it a crow. It just means I'm a petty officer." "Do you wear that suit all the time?" As I sat answering his questions, my mind slowly drifted back over the last 4 years since I had left my home in Oak Alley, Florida, to go off and serve my country, and how, yes indeed, I had worn the uniform all that time. Little did Tommy know this was probably my last full day I would wear a uniform, because early next morning I would be at my destination and would once again be classified as a civilian with no job and an uncertain future. All I really knew was that I was going to give it a try, and if I failed, I could always go back and re-enlist in the Navy. We were nearing the town where Tommy would be getting off, and I had learned that Tommy had no father figure to look up to, and I did kind of like the kid. "I want to be a sailor," he said. It gave me an idea. "Okay, Tommy, we will enlist you right now," I told him. "Really, honest and truly?" he said. I stood up and reached up and retrieved a small handbag I had on the bus with me, pulled out a white hat. "Raise your right hand," I told him, "and repeat after me." He raised his hand while smiling from ear to ear and repeated the shortened version that I gave him. "I, Tommy, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution and protect my country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance and obey all orders of the President of the United States and all the orders of my mama. So help me God." It felt right to me as I placed the white hat on his head and told him, "I hereby proclaim you a seaman recruit." I saluted him and said, "Welcome to the United States Navy, Tommy." He returned my salute very proudly. I straightened his hat for him and said, always keep your hat squared away. A good sailor always keeps his hat squared away. As he got up to leave the bus, he stopped and gave me a big hug. And I said, bye, Tommy. And he walked proudly off the bus. I felt kind of proud of myself, and I hope it made some small difference in his life. And that concludes chapter 1. Thank you for listening.